A city before the fire. Have you ever wondered what London felt like before the Great Fire of 1666? Not the ruins, not the ashes, but the city as it was the day before, a place of wooden beams, crowded alleys, and lives unfolding in quiet rhythm. Historians often remind us that the great city was less marble and more timber, less open space and more narrow lanes, where one neighbor's cough could carry easily into another's room. Before we begin, pause, adjust your pillow, dim your lights, let your breathing slow, as though smoke from a chimney were already rising into evening air. This story will move as slowly as carts creaking down a cobbled lane. And if your eyes close before the fire begins, London will still be waiting for you. The first light of day. You awaken in a small chamber, beams creaking overhead. The plaster is cracked, patched with straw, and the smell of damp wood lingers. From the alley below comes the faint rattle of a cart, wheels striking uneven stones. A cockerel crows somewhere, its voice muffled by the walls leaning close together. The room is cool, your blanket is rough wool, scratchy against your skin. Straw rustles beneath the mattress, uneven and sharp. You stretch slowly, joints stiff, hearing the house creak with you. The myth of spacious London. Paintings often show London as wide, airy, noble. The myth is of streets open and squares clean. The reality is narrower, wooden houses jutting over alleys, roofs almost touch. Records from the time describe lanes so tight 2 carts could not pass without scraping. The myth comforts memory, the reality presses in close. Martha the baker's daughter. Across the lane you hear Martha humming. She is known as the lucky one among neighbors, always finding a coin in the dust, or a loaf baked just right. She hums even as she sweeps her threshold, declaring each morning that fortune smiles on her family's ovens. She will later claim luck guided her even through smoke. Rat-faced Tom. Near the pump stands Tom, muttering already. He earns his name from suspicion, always warning of vermin, of gossip, of secrets scurrying through alleys. He taps the pump with a stick, declaring the water tastes foul today. He shakes his head at every cart that passes, as though expecting mischief in every barrel. Step boy step, fetching water. Your morning begins with the simplest task. Pick up the wooden bucket, its handle worn smooth. Walk carefully down the stairs, wood groaning beneath your weight. Step into the alley, air damp, stone slick. Join the short line at the pump, neighbors shifting impatiently. Lower bucket, hear the splash, lift with both hands heavy. The water sloshes as you carry it back, droplets darkening your cloak. A mild dilemma. At the pump, a boy drops his jug, its clay shattering. You could spare some of your water for him, though your own bucket feels light already. Or you could turn away, keeping what you need. You tip a little into his smaller vessel, his thanks soft but steady. Your own load feels no heavier for the loss. The smell of the city. London breathes in layers. Smoke from chimneys, sharp and bitter. Fish from the river, stale already in morning. Horse dung in the street, sweet and sour. Ale brewing somewhere, yeasty and warm, and always damp wood clinging to plaster and beams. The myth of cleanliness. Some imagine London's people washed daily, neat and perfumed. The myth is of tidy households. The reality is less fragrant, baths rare, laundry costly, smoke staining skin. Samuel Pepys himself complained of foul smells in every corner of the city. The myth comforts paintings. The reality lingers in your nose. Martha's morning. Martha waves as you pass, holding a loaf high. She insists it baked perfectly, a sure sign of luck. She tears a piece for you, bread still warm, crust sharp, crumb soft. She winks, saying ovens never lie about fortune. Her voice is as steady as the smell of yeast, step by step, lighting the fire. Inside your home you tend the hearth, clear ashes from last night, grey dust rise, stack kindling, wood dry and sharp. Place coal carefully, black and heavy, strike flint, sparks catching straw. Rat-faced Tom's warning. Tom passes by your door, muttering that smoke draws rats as surely as crumbs. He peers inside, eyes narrowing at your coal. He insists firewood stacked too high, tempts mischief. You nod politely, though his warnings are as common as his stick tapping stone. Rules of the street. Every alley follows its own unwritten codes. Ashes thrown only in the gutter, never by the pump. Chimneys must be swept monthly, though few obey. Rats belong to Tom, no one interferes with his muttering. Ovens are Martha's pride, no one questions her luck. Water is shared but grudgingly. The rules are fragile, but they keep the alley in rhythm. The myth of security. Some believed the city safe, walls high, guards vigilant. The myth is of protection. The reality is thatched roofs, wooden beams, and stores of pitch, tar and oil. Historians note fire was always a fear, even before 6. The myth comforts pride. The reality waits quietly in timber, step by step, walking the lane. Later you step outside again, pull cloak tighter, wool rough against your neck. Pick your way past dung and puddle. Dodge a cart, driver cursing. Pause at a stall, apples piled, smell sharp. Continue down the narrow lane, houses leaning overhead. The city folds in close as you walk. A mild dilemma. At a stall, the merchant offers apples bruised but you could buy them though they may spoil by night, or save your coin for bread tomorrow. You choose two, their skin tart, juice sharp, on your tongue. Evening quiet. As day bends toward dusk, chimneys smoke heavier. Children's voices fade, shutters creak close. Martha hums a tune as she sweeps once more. Tom mutters about rats as he taps his stick in rhythm. The city exhales, slower now, smoke rising into the morning. The soft cadence, the cart rattles, the pump drips, the hearth glows, and you lying still, feel London fold itself around you. The air cools, the alley darkens, and you drift slowly into rest. Sparks on Pudding Lane. Have you ever wondered how something as vast as the Great Fire of London could begin so small, not with roaring flames across the city, but with the faint crackle of kindling in a baker's oven? The story begins not with grandeur, but with flour dust on a wooden floor, and coals that seemed ordinary. Before we begin, pause, dim your lights if you have not already. Let your breathing match the rhythm of a baker kneading dough, slow, steady, without hurry. This chapter will move as gently as smoke rising from an oven, and if your eyes close before the flames catch, the sparks will still be waiting for you. The bakery at night. Pudding Lane smells of flour, yeast, and damp timber. The bakery itself is small, beams low, ovens deep. Ash from earlier fires lingers, grey dust on the hearth. A single candle flickers, wick bending in the draught. The ovens glow faintly, coals hidden deep still shimmer red. The air is warm, thick, carrying both comfort and unease. Outside the alley is quiet, only rats scurrying, and a watchman's step fading. The myth of carelessness. Later accounts blamed Thomas Fariner, claiming he failed to douse his ovens. The myth is of negligence. The reality is more uncertain. Records differ. Some suggest the fire leapt from stored kindling, or from a spark carried by draught. Historians still debate whether Fariner slept soundly or whether fire slipped beyond notice. The myth comforts blame. The reality hides in smoke. Martha's visit. Earlier that evening, Martha the baker's daughter hummed while sweeping. She declared the ovens lucky that day. The bread rose tall, the crust browned evenly. She left humming, convinced fortune guarded their Her voice lingered even after the door shut, light against the heavy ovens. Rat-faced Tom's warning. Tom had passed by, tapping his stick. He muttered about rats chewing kindling, about sparks finding straw. He sniffed at the alley air, claiming it carried more smoke than usual. He shook his head, walking on, muttering that London slept too soundly. Step by step closing a bakery, the apprentices followed their routine. Sweep flour from the floor, dust rising white. Stack kindling neatly near the hearth. Scrape ashes into a corner, grey pile glowing faintly. Close the iron door of the oven, latch creaking. Snuff candles one by one, leaving faint trails of smoke. The bakery sank into stillness, though heat lingered. A mild dilemma. One apprentice noticed a coal still glowing. He could fetch more water, though the jug was nearly empty, or he could trust the closed oven to contain it. He chose the latter, weary from the day. The coal pulsed softly, as though breathing in the dark. The smell of sparks. The alley carried new scent. Smoke sharper than usual, acrid, dry, wood warming, resin releasing faint sweetness. Flour dust scorched a scent like bread gone bitter. The air thickened slowly, too quietly to rouse. The myth of immediate alarm. Some believe the city cried out at once, bells ringing as fire leapt. The myth is of swift response. The reality is slower. Neighbors noticed smoke but waited, thinking it minor. Records show hours passed before alarm spread. The myth comforts hindsight. The reality lingers in hesitation. Step by step a watchman's rounds. Farther down Pudding Lane, a watchman paced. He tapped his staff against the stones, paused to sniff air, uncertain, adjusted his cloak, wool damp from night, noted faint glow in distance, but walked on, hummed a tune, boots echoing, leaving sparks unseen. The rhythm of duty continued, though smoke thickened behind him. Martha's fortune. Martha dreamed that night of ovens glowing brightly. She would later insist it was a sign the fire favored her family. She told neighbors fortune shielded her, though ovens betray as often as bless. Her confidence was as steady as the coals themselves. Rat-faced Tom's suspicion. Tom woke to scurrying, rats restless in beams above. He muttered that vermin knew more than men. He peered into the alley, saw faint haze, sniffed deeply. He declared trouble was coming, though no one listened yet. Rules of the bakery. Even bakeries had their quiet codes. Sweep flour before closing. Dust feeds flames too easily. Ashes must be doused, even if only with a drop. Ovens closed firmly, latch checked twice. Buckets of water kept by the door, though often empty. Rats belong to Tom, luck belongs to Martha. The rules were known, though not always followed. A mild dilemma. A neighbor passing saw smoke seeping from E. He could wake the household, risk being wrong, or walk on trusting ovens cool by morning. He hesitated, then left it, telling himself smoke was common. The fire curled upward behind him, slow but steady. The silence before. The bakery stood in hush. Coal glowed faint, ember hidden. Timber beams dried in night air, tinder waiting. Flour dust clung to walls, light as breath. Rats scurried, whiskers twitching. Tom's mutters unheard. The fire waited, patient, small. The soft cadence. The coal glimmers. The beam warms. The air thickens. And you, lying still, feel London drowse, unaware. The night deepens. The alley quiets, and you drift slowly into rest. The first flames spread. Have you ever wondered how quickly a small ember can grow into a city-wide fire? Not in minutes, but in slow creeping ways, through beams, rafters, and wind that carried sparks farther than buckets could reach. The Great Fire of London began as quietly as it spread, unnoticed by many, until the smell of smoke was too thick to ignore. Before you begin, adjust your pillow. Let your breathing match the rhythm of water filling a bucket. Slow, steady, repeating. This chapter will move as steadily as flames climbing timber beams, and if your eyes close before the bucket chain forms, the water will still be waiting. Smoke in the alley. You wake to the smell first, not the warmth of bread baking, but smoke sharper, bitterer. Your throat scratches as you inhale. Through the shutters you see faint orange, brighter than dawn. Voices rise in the alley. Neighbors mutter, cough, shuffle out of door. Someone bangs on wood, shouting a name. The city begins to stir, though still sluggish with sleep. The myth of swift fire brigades. Later engravings show London filled with firemen in uniform, engines ready. The myth is of organized defense. The reality is plainer. No professional fire brigade yet. Only parish constables, leather buckets, fire hooks and hand pumps. Historians note that most households kept their own bucket, but many were missing or cracked. The myth comforts hindsight. The reality drips slowly from worn leather. Martha's reaction. Martha stands in the alley, loaf in hand, insisting the bakery could not have betrayed them. She mutters that ovens bring luck, not ruin. Her confidence falters as sparks drift onto her shawl, leaving black dots. She brushes them off quickly, but her humming is gone. Rat-faced Tom's mutter. Tom taps his stick hard against the stones. He shouts that rats warned him, scurrying restless through the night. He points at the roofline, where smoke escapes between beams. Neighbors ignore him, more concerned with buckets than vermin. Still, his voice cuts through the smoke like a scratching sound. Step by step, forming a bucket chain, the first line of defense begins. Buckets fetched from homes, leather handles creaking. A line of neighbors forms, hands passing water one to another. Each bucket sloshes, spilling, leaving puddles on cobbles. Water flung at beams, sizzling, steam rising faintly. Empty buckets returned, rhythm repeating, slow but steady. The chain clatters, splashes, but flames climb fast. A mild dilemma. Your bucket feels heavy, water sloshing. A child cries nearby, coughing in the smoke. You could break the chain to offer water to him, or continue passing, trusting the fire demands all effort. You lift the bucket onward, telling yourself the chain cannot break. The smell of fire. The scents layer thicker now. Timber burning, resin sharp and sweet, pitch catching, smoke heavy and black, wool smoldering, acrid and bitter, air dense, pressing in, leaving lungs heavy. The alley no longer smells of bread or ale, but of ruin. The myth of firehooks saving all manuals praised firehooks as the key to controlling blazes. The myth is of swift demolition stopping flames. The reality is harder. Few dared tear down their own homes, even when told it was necessary. Records show hesitation cost precious hours. The myth comforts manuals. The reality smolders, overhead, step by step, using firehooks. One man tries with his hook, Kickapoo's. He braces against the wall. Kickapoo's timber beam, pulling hard. Bud, creaks, showering sparks downward. Neighbors shout, fearing collapse too soon. A section falls, but fire leaps to the debris below. The effort seems futile, though repeated again and again. Martha's denial. Martha insists the fire will fade with morning. She clutches a loaf, pressing it against her chest as though it holds protection. Her voice trembles, but she repeats that ovens never lie. Neighbors glance at her with pity, but few answer. Rat-faced Tom's ire. Tom yells that water is wasted. that rats will feast on grain stores while men fuss with buckets. He mutters about sparks flying like whiskers, always one step ahead. His stick taps faster now, like claws against wood. Rules of the bucket chain. Even chaos settles into rhythm. Buckets pass right hand only, return by left. Children too small to lift fetch water instead. Shouts travel down the line, always the same word. Water. Spilled buckets are forgiven, broken ones replaced if possible. No one stops, not until flames are higher than the houses. The rules hold, though the chain weakens. A mild dilemma. The fire reaches toward your own roof. You could climb to pull tiles loose, slowing its climb. Or you could join Tom, urging neighbors to flee before collapse. You hesitate, then hand your bucket forward again. One more moment spent in resistance. The myth of Londoners' calm. Some accounts later praised the calm of citizens, orderly and steady. The myth is of composure. The reality is shouting, coughing, running, belongings tossed into carts. Samuel Pepys himself noted, the poor people staying in houses as long as till the very fire touched them. The myth comforts memory. The reality scrambles in smoke. The alley in flames. By now, Pudding Lane is lit orange. Flames lick windows, leap to rooftops. Sparks drift overhead, landing on thatch, timber, straw. Buckets fall silent as neighbors step back, watching fire climb higher. The city exhales, louder now, hot against the night. The soft cadence. The bucket drips. The hook creaks. The beam cracks. And you, coughing softly, feel London glow too warm. The alley blurs. The smoke thickens. And you drift slowly into crowded streets and confusion. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to walk through a city in panic? Not running, but stumbling through narrow lanes where carts creak and neighbors argue over what to carry. The Great Fire of London was not only smoke and flame, it was also confusion, noise and choices made too quickly. Before you begin, pause. Breathe in deeply. Exhale slowly. If you are lying in bed, let your body sink as though you too were leaning against a cart, burden heavy, wheels groaning. This chapter will move as steadily as footsteps pressed into soot. And if your eyes close before the carts roll, the streets will still be crowded, narrow lanes. You step into the street, smoke overhead, cries echoing between timber walls. The cobbles are slick with spilled water, ashes scattered like dust. Children cry, women call names, men drag carts too large for alleys. Goats bleat, chickens flutter, feathers drifting in smoke. The houses lean above, timber beams blackening. Shutters hang open, cloth waving faintly. The fire glows at the end of the lane, red against morning grey. The myth of swift escape. Some imagine Londoners fled immediately, possessions neatly packed. The myth is of quick decision. The reality is slower. Many believed fire would fade, carrying on with chores before flames pressed closer. Historians note Pepys saw people staying in their houses till the very fire touched them. The myth comforts order. The reality coughs in confusion. Martha's bread. Martha clutches a basket of loaves, still declaring ovens bring fortune. She insists bread is worth more than bedding or coin. Her voice shakes, but she repeats it like prayer. Neighbors argue, but she holds tighter, shawl pulled against the smoke. Rat-faced Tom's observation. Tom mutters loudly that rats have already left the bakery. He claims they fled before dawn, scampering into alleys while men still debated. He taps his stick on the stones, repeating that vermin always know first. His mutters mingle with cries, a rhythm of suspicion. Caged chickens, their wings flapping loudly. Tie ropes loosely, cart groaning under weight. The horse stamps, snorting at the smoke, unwilling to move. A mild dilemma. Your own arms hold little. A blanket, a jug of water, a crust of bread. You could return for more, risking flames already creeping near. Or you could step forward, keeping only what you carry. You choose forward, blanket heavy but steady. The smell of confusion. The air is layered thick, smoke sharp, choking, sweat from bodies pressed close. Ale spilled from casks, yeasty and sour. Feathers singed, acrid. The city smells of too many things burning at once. The myth of orderly streets. Paintings sometimes show carts moving in straight lines, neighbors calm. The myth is of streets like procession. The reality is chaos. Carts jammed, wheels stuck, animals loose. Letters describe goats wandering, pigs squealing, belongings dropped in gutters. The myth comforts engravings. The reality scrapes loudly on cobble. Step by step driving a cart. One man shouts at his horse, forcing it through. Pull reins tight, horse rearing. Shout loudly, voice hoarse. A push cart wheels, wood creaking. Amoebas scatter, pressed against walls. A cart lurches forward, spilling plates into gutter. The sound of metal on stone rings above cries. Martha's belief. Martha presses her loaves into children's hands, whispering that bread will keep them safe. She insists each crust carries luck. Her voice quivers, but the gesture calms those near her. Fortune, she claims, is baked daily. Rat-faced Tom's warning. Tom mutters that luck feeds no one when rats chew through sacks. He claims the vermin will eat the city before the fire does. He waves his stick at a scurrying shape, though most are too busy to note. Rules of evacuation. Amidst confusion, rules emerge. Carry food first, furniture later. Children walk ahead, animals behind. Opined, carts must not stop in alleys. They block all. Apart, water is for drinking, not for flames already too hot. Bread is fortune if Martha says so. Rats are doom if Tom says so. The rules are not written, but followed out of necessity. A mild dilemma. A woman nearby drops her chest, lid breaking open. Silver spills, glinting faintly in smoke. You could help her gather coins, slowing your step, or continue forward, your own blanket slipping. You move past, the sound of her crying fading behind you. Neighbors shout, voices hoarse, commands lost in smoke. The city feels louder than ever, but less certain. The myth of heroic calm. Later stories praised citizens who acted bravely, saving neighbors. The myth is of universal courage. The reality is mixed, some shared, some hoarded, some froze. Pepys wrote of people dropping goods in panic, then turning back for more. The myth comforts chronicles. The reality stumbles, choking. Blankets brush, baskets bump, wheels scrape shins. Children wail, dogs bark, goats bleat. Every step is slow, heavy, unsure. The fire glows behind, brighter now, pushing the crowd onward. The soft cadence, the wheels creak, the feathers drift, the cries echo, and you, clutching your bundle, feel London stumble as one. The smoke swells, the roofs fall, and you drift slowly into rest. Fire on the Thames. Have you ever wondered what the Thames looked like during the Great Fire of London? Not the calm river of paintings, but a crowded waterway, its banks filled with carts, barrels, animals and families carrying whatever they could. The fire did not stop at the river's edge. It painted itself upon the water, doubling its glow. Before you begin, pause, breathe slowly, as though rocking gently on a barge. Exhale steadily, as if watching ripples spread outward. If you are lying in bed, let your body sink as though you too are sitting on a wooden deck, rope creaking, water lapping. This chapter will move as slowly as oars dipping into current, and if your eyes close before the boats push off, the river will still be waiting. The banks at dawn. You reach the river as morning brightens, though smoke dims the sky. The air smells of damp wood, pitch and fish already spoiling in barrels. Carts stand abandoned, wheels sunk into mud. Men shout, loading barrels onto barges, ropes tightening, oars creaking. The fire glows behind, roofs falling in sparks. Its reflection dances on water, broken by ripples. The Thames groans under weight, too many boats pressed together. The myth of calm evacuation. Later engravings show people boarding neatly, goods stacked in order. The myth is of discipline. The reality is chaos. Boats overfilled, animals loose, families separated in the press. Samuel Pepys described the extraordinary number of barges carrying goods, crowding the river until oars tangled. The myth comforts illustration. The reality shoves loudly at the bank. The Martha's loaves. Martha still clutches her basket of bread. She insists no coin could pay for such fortune. She presses loaves into children's hands, declaring each one a shield against hunger. Her shawl smells of smoke, but her voice holds steady. Apart face Tom's mutter. Tom peers at the barges, stick tapping the plank. He mutters that rats have already boarded, tails slipping through ropes. He swears they swim faster than oars. Neighbors roll eyes, but he taps louder, as if summoning whiskers. Apart step by step, hiring a boat. One family bargains with a boatman, place coins in his palm, hand trembling. He nods, pocketing quickly, eyes darting to crowd. Apart, goods are shoved aboard, barrels, blankets, cages. Apart, children lifted next, their cries sharp. Finally, adults climb in, boat rocking dangerously. The water splashes against hull, black with soot. A mild dilemma. A boatman demands coin to carry your bundle. You could pay losing what little money you have, or refuse keeping both coin and bundle ashore. You hesitate, then step back, clutching belongings, watching the barge drift without you. The smell of the river. The air is thick with mixed scents, pitch burning from ropes and tar, fish souring in barrels, overturned, ale spilled from casks, yeasty and sharp, smoke rolling across water, bitter and endless. The Thames smells of both refuge and ruin. The myth of the river as barrier. Some imagined the Thames would halt the fire. The myth is of safety. The reality is that sparks carried across, landing on warehouses filled with pitch, oil and timber. Historians note flames leapt riverbanks, catching wharves alight. The myth comforts hope. The reality glows even on water. Apart, step by step, loading barrels. You help push a cart down the bank, roll barrel carefully, wood groaning. Apart, brace against mud, boots slipping, heave with others, lifting to deck. Apart, rope tied loosely, knots uneven, barrel settles, creaking with weight. The boat sags, river swallowing its shadow. Apart, Martha's sharing. Martha presses a loaf into your hand, whispering that bread guides fortune across water. Her fingers smell of flour, her eyes ash-stained but steady. She smiles faintly, as though luck were baked into every crust. Apart, rat-faced Tom's warning. Tom swears rats hide beneath planks, gnawing at boats already. He jabs his stick at gaps, muttering that vermin will sink more barges than fire. Few listen, but his tapping echoes beneath the splash of oars. Apart, rules of the river. Even chaos obeys a rhythm. A pay before boarding, or be left behind. Apart, children loaded first, goods second, barrels tied, cages wedged. Apart, rats ignored, unless Tom is nearby. Bread, if offered by Martha, must be accepted. The rules float as surely as boats themselves. A mild dilemma. On shore, you see a chest abandoned, lid half open. Silver glints inside, untouched. You could grab it, heavy though it is, or step past, your arms already full. You walk on, silver gleaming behind, bread heavy in your hand. The press of boats. The Thames fills, oars clash, curses rise, ropes tangle. Children cry, barrels roll, goats bleat. Smoke drifts low, hiding the far bank. The fire glows overhead, mirrored twice, once in roofs, once in water. The city seems to float, trembling on waves. The myth of escape. Some later claimed the river saved all who reached it. The myth is of complete safety. The reality is mixed. Some drowned in the press, others lost goods, many still trapped by fire leaping forward. Records show relief, but not rescue. The myth comforts story. The reality drifts with smoke. At the evening glow, as day fades, the river brightens red. Flames stretch high, smoke rolls low. Oars dip slowly, water dark with ash. Martha hums faintly, clutching her bread. Tom mutters, stick tapping rhythm against hull. The city burns behind, carried now upon the Thames. The soft cadence. The oars dip, the ropes creak, the smoke drifts, and you, holding bread, feel the river carry London onward. The tide turns, the fire glows, and you drift slowly into rest. Churches, bells, and fire hooks. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to stand in a church while fire crept closer? Not the grand cathedrals of stone alone, but the small parish churches of timber roofs, filled with neighbours seeking shelter. The Great Fire of London was not just streets and homes. It was bells melting, pews smoking, and fire hooks scraping against beams. Before you begin, pause, breathe gently, exhale slowly. If you are resting, let your arms feel heavy as though holding the weight of a bucket or a hook. This chapter will move as slowly as smoke drifting through a nave, and if your eyes close before the bells fall, the steeple will still be waiting. The first refuge. You step into a parish church, doors wide, air cool but uneasy. The smell of incense clings faintly, though smoke pushes through cracks. Families huddle in pews, bundles at their feet. Children whisper, voices hushed against the echo of stone. Candles still burn on the altar, flames trembling in drought. Above, beams groan, warmed by sparks landing on the roof. At the myth of safety in stone, some believed churches could not burn, their walls of stone immune. The myth is of sanctuaries everlasting. The reality is harsher. Timber roofs caught easily, lead melted, bells fell. Historians note 87 parish churches destroyed. The myth comforts faith. The reality buckles in fire. Martha's loaf. Martha clutches her loaf, as if it were holy. She presses it against her chest, whispering that bread blesses better than coin. She sets it on the pew beside her, as though an offering. Her eyes glimmer with smoke and stubborn hope. Rat-faced Tom's mutter. Tom scowls at shadows near the altar. He mutters that rats hide beneath pews, waiting to flee. He claims even vermin know fire does not respect church. His stick taps the stone floor, echoing like a second sermon. Step by step, preparing a church against fire. Neighbors try to defend the nave, carry buckets of water, splashing against doors and beams, pull down nearby sheds with hooks, hoping to slow spray. Drape wet cloth over pews, though they soon dry again. Remove valuable silver cups, cloth, books, into carts. Stand watch on the roof, eyes stinging from smoke. The church resists, but timbers groan louder. A mild dilemma. The sexton asks for help removing the bell. You could climb the tower, ropes heavy, risking sparks overhead, or stay below, guarding your own bundle. You remain below, listening as the bell tolls faintly, then falls silent. The smell of collapse, air thickens, charred oak sharp and bitter, melted wax heavy, cling lead dripping, acrid as metal smokes. Sweat of neighbors pressed close, sour beneath incense. The nave smells less holy, more like ruin waiting. The myth of fire engines. Illustrations often show tall engines spraying high arcs of water. The myth is of strong defense. The reality is humbler. Hand pumps, spraying short streams, often clogged. Pepys himself noted engines pissing weakly against high flames. The myth comforts prince. The reality drips too low. Step by step, fire hooks in action. In the street outside, men wield hook beam, pull, wood resisting. Shout for help, neighbors pulling together. Crack as timber breaks, sparks scattering. Push rubble into street, flames leaping down. Begin again, slower, weaker. The hooks tear more than they save, but the effort continues. Martha's whisper. Martha kneels, pressing her loaf to lips. She insists the bread's crust will not burn. Neighbors smile faintly, comforted if not convinced. Her faith warms more than the failing roof. Rat-faced Tom's accusation. Tom points at a stranger, muttering that foreigners light fires faster than rats. He scowls, accusing shadows of plots. Others hush him, but his voice lingers, sharp as spark. Rules of church refugee. Amidst confusion, patterns form. Buckets passed left, hooks swung right. Children sit in pews, bundles at feet. Candles never snuffed. Some cling to ritual. Bells watched, feared more than flames. Rats ignored, unless Tom points. These rules carry order, until smoke thickens. A mild dilemma. You see silver cups still on the altar. You could take them, heavy in your arms, value in your hands, or leave them too obvious, too weighty. You walk past, their gleam fading in haze. The steeple. Outside, fire licks higher. The steeple glows faint, lead seams running. The bell tolls once, metal strained, then falls. Its sound echoes like thunder, then silence. Neighbors bow heads, then scatter. The myth of miracles. Some later tales claimed saints protected certain churches. The myth is of divine intervention. The reality is chance. Some stood only because wind shifted. Records list both ruin and survival side by side. The myth comforts faith. The reality is ash and stone. Evening hush. As fire pushes on, the church empties. Families carry bundles, pews left behind. Candles sputter, wax dripping onto stone. Smoke drifts through broken windows, light glowing faint. The nave exhales, slower now, waiting for collapse. The soft cadence, the bell falls, the roof groans, the smoke thickens, and you, weary, feel London bow beneath flame. The hooks drag, the water drips, and you drift slowly into rest. Camps in the fields. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to sleep in a field after fleeing the fire? Not a quiet meadow, but a patch of ground crowded with carts, bedding, chickens, and voices all around. The Great Fire of London did not end with flames. It carried into the fields, where thousands gathered in uneasy rest. Before you begin, pause, breathe gently, exhale slowly. If you are lying down, imagine straw beneath you, lumpy and damp. This chapter will move as softly as smoke still drifting above the city walls, and if your eyes close before the campfire fades, the field will still be waiting. The press of people. You step through the city gate, out into the fields beyond. The grass bends beneath carts, wheels carving muddy tracks. Children run, goats bleat, dogs bark, chickens scatter in feathers. Voices rise and fall, hundreds at once, none The city behind still glows, smoke drifting, flames licking roofs. The field ahead feels no calmer, only wider. The myth of peaceful refugee. Some imagined Londoners fleeing calmly to safe ground. The myth is of orderly retreat. The reality is crowded camps, bundles piled, animals loose, arguments sharp. Pepys himself wrote of fields full of goods, and tents, and people. The myth comforts distance. The reality stumbles in mud. Martha's loaf again, Martha's loaf again. Martha sets her basket down. She insists the bread is worth more than coin, that fortune lies in crust and crumb. She breaks pieces for children nearby, declaring fortune grows when shared. Her voice steadies those around her, even as smoke lingers over. Rat-faced Tom's mutter. Tom scowls, tapping his stick against cart wheels. He mutters that rats follow no matter how far one flees. He points at shadows in grass, swearing he sees whiskers. Neighbors roll eyes but shift their bundles higher just in case. Step by step, making a camp. You watch a family arrange their shelter, spread blankets on grass, smoothing lumps, pile bundles at edge, forming a low wall, build small fire, sticks crackling faint, place pot above flames, beans simmering slow. Draw children close, their breathing softening. The camp forms quickly though uneasily. A mild dilemma. Your own blanket feels too thin against the damp. You could share a corner of another family's fire, or remain alone, teeth chattering. You choose to move closer, warmth steadier among strangers. The smell of the fields, even here, the city follows. Smoke drifting still, sharp and bitter. Sweat heavy from bodies pressed close. Grass damp beneath carts, musty and earthy. Beans cooking faintly, oil and salt. The field smells of survival more than refuge. The myth of abandonment. Later tales suggested London emptied entirely. The myth is of a deserted city. The reality is mixed. Many returned daily to salvage goods. Some never left at all. Historians note markets still opened, even while fields crowded with families. The myth comforts drama. The reality lingers in routine. Step by step, cooking by campfire. One woman prepares stew. Drop beans, onions, herbs, each scent rising. Stir slowly, wooden spoon worn smooth. Add crumbs of bread, thickening broth. Share bowls, steam curling into air. The fire crackles, those sparks remind of danger. Martha's generosity. Martha places her last loaf by the pot. She insists fortune multiplies when broken. Her crust softens in stew, her smile grows faintly. Others nod, warmed less by food than by her certainty. Rat-faced Tom's distrust. Tom mutters that rats prefer camps to alleys. He scowls at crumbs on grass, swearing it draws vermin closer. He warns children not to drop food, tapping his stick like a drumbeat. His suspicion spreads even in fields. Rules of the camp. Amidst chaos, rules take shape. Fires small, smoke low. Water drawn carefully, buckets shared. Animals tethered at edge, children in center. Bundles never left alone, not even at night. Bread from Martha shared, rats from Tom avoided. The rules hold fragile order beneath smoke. A mild dilemma. As night deepens, a neighbor asks for your blanket. You could share shivering both together, or refuse keeping warmth alone. You spread it wide, both sleeping colder but closer. The murmur of night. The camp shifts slowly. Children whimper, then sleep. Fires glow faint, sparks rising. Dogs bark, tethered goats shuffle. Above, smoke drifts still, hiding stars. The city glows behind, but the field hums with uneasy rest. The myth of forgetting. Some imagined fields as relief, fear left behind. The myth is of calm. The reality is restless. Goods guarded, whispers spreading, rumors louder than sleep. Pepys himself noted, a most horrid, malicious, bloody flame, not like fire in London, but like a fire in hell. The myth comforts memory. The reality stirs in grass. Martha's prayer. Martha hums softly. Bread finished, hands folded. She whispers fortune still guards them. Her tune weaves through murmurs, small comfort in wide dark. Rat-faced Tom's watch. Tom paces edge of camp, stick tapping. He swears he hears whiskers in grass. He mutters that rats feast even when men starve. His rhythm joins the crackle of fires, steady as suspicion. The soft cadence, the grass bends, the fire sighs, the smoke lingers, and you lying in straw feel London breathe uneasy. The fields murmur, the city glows, and you drift slowly into rest. Rumors and blame. Have you ever wondered what people said in the smoke of disaster? Not the calm words of historians, but the whispers of neighbors, the mutters of strangers, and the shouts that echoed through streets and fields. The Great Fire of London was not only flames, it was also rumors thick as smoke. Before you begin, pause, breathe gently, exhale slowly. If you are resting, imagine voices rising and falling around you, none clear, all restless. This chapter will move as slowly as whispers carried by wind, and if your eyes close before the pamphlet is read, the words will still wait on the post. The whispers begin. In the fields, as families huddle by carts, talk stirs, smoke drifts still from the city. Roofs collapsing, voices argue softly, Who began this? Why did it spread? Some say bakers careless, others blame wind, still more mutter of plots. The night feels heavier with suspicion than with smoke. Echo. The myth of known cause. Children's books later claimed everyone knew the bakery started it. The myth is of certainty. The reality is confusion. Many blamed foreigners, Catholics, or even deliberate sabotage. Historians note that fear spread faster than fact. The myth comforts clarity. The reality mutters endlessly. Martha's luck. Martha shakes her head at rumors. She insists fortune alone decides, not bakers nor strangers. She presses crumbs into children's palms, saying bread carries more truth than gossip. Her voice steadies a few, though whispers continue around her. Rat-faced Tom's accusations. Tom stands at the edge of the camp, stick tapping harder. He mutters that rats never strike sparks, but men do. He points at strangers, accusing eyes sharp. He repeats that vermin scurry, but people plot. His voice spreads unease, even as others hush him. Echo, step by step, reading a pamphlet. At dawn a broadside is nailed to a post near the gate. A crowd gathers, shifting feet, coughing in smoke. One man reads aloud, words rough. Echo. Suspicion of French and Dutch, he says, voice rising. Murmurs ripple, heads nodding. Echo. Children tug at skirts, sensing unease. The paper flutters in smoke, ink smudged by damp. A mild dilemma. You hear a neighbor whisper that strangers should be seized. You could echo, joining the crowd's nods, or remain silent, clutching your bundle. You lower your gaze, silence easier than blame. The smell of suspicion. The air carries more than smoke. Sweat sharp from tense bodies. Ink from pamphlets, sour and metallic. Pitch still burning, acrid, and the faint tang of fear, sourer than ale. Suspicion itself seems to have a scent. The myth of justice. Later retellings spoke of law bringing clarity. The myth is of swift trials. The reality was harsher. Innocents beaten, foreigners dragged. Rumors outweighing evidence. Records show proclamations begged crowds not to harm strangers. The myth comforts order. The reality bruises in alleys. Echo, step by step, spreading a rumor. One whisper travels quickly. A woman mutters to her neighbor. He repeats it to a cousin. Echo. A boy overhears shouting it in play. A pamphlet appears, echoing the same. By evening the story feels old, though false. Rumors move faster than carts, faster than flame. Martha's dismissal. Martha sighs, clutching her empty basket. She insists fortune turns, but gossip spins endlessly. She hums softly, louder than whispers as though to drown them. Her tune is steady but few join. Rat-faced Tom's triumph. Tom declares he was right all along, that rats scurry from men's mischief, not from chance. He points again at strangers, tapping his stick. His mutters find ears eager for blame. Suspicion clings as tightly as smoke. Rules of rumor. Even suspicion has its own patterns. Blame strangers first, neighbors last. Echo. Repeat what you hear, never pause. Words grow sharper at night. Echo. Pamphlets carry more weight than witnesses. Martha trusts bread, Tom trusts rat. These rules guide tongues more than truth. A mild dilemma. A boy is dragged forward, accused by whispers. You could step closer defending him, or turn away, your own family waiting. You stay still, silence heavier than smoke. The field's alive, as day brightens. Voices rise louder, shouts at strangers, murmurs in corners. Pamphlets flutter, nailed to posts. The fire still smoulders behind, but fear burns sharper. The myth of united London. Some tales claim Londoners stood as one, united in triumph. The myth is of harmony. The reality is division, suspicion, neighbors against neighbors. Historians note more arrests from rumor than evidence. The myth comforts patriotism. The reality coughs in fear. Evening murmurs. As smoke dims the sky, whispers linger still. Martha hums. Bread gone but voice steady. Tom mutters. Stick tapping. Suspicion unending. Children sleep uneasy. Parents stare towards city glow. The night exhales, not in peace but in murmurs. The soft cadence. The paper flutters. The whispers crawl. The stick and you, weary, feel London speak too much. The fire smoulders. The rumors spread, and you drift slowly into rest. After the flames, have you ever wondered what London looked like when the fire finally died? Not flames leaping, but embers cooling, smoke drifting low, and silence broken only by footsteps on ash. The Great Fire of London did not end in one moment. It faded, leaving a city of ruins. Before you begin, pause, breathe gently, exhale slow. If you are resting, Imagine yourself walking through cinders, shoes leaving prints in soft ash. This chapter will move as quietly as dust falling from a charred beam, and if your eyes close before the ruins appear, the city will still wait in silence. The first steps back, you walk through the gate, back into London. The air is grey, smoke still curling from timbers. Streets once crowded with carts now lie empty. Houses blackened shells, the cobbles are dusted with ash, crunching faintly. The city smells not of bread or ale, but of ruined charcoal, wet stone and soot. Even the river reflects dull grey instead of flame. The myth of countless dead, later generations imagined thousands perished. The myth is of vast loss of life. The reality is stranger. Official records list surprisingly few dead, though many surely went uncounted. Historians suggest smoke and collapse left more unmarked than noted. The myth comforts drama, the reality hides in silence. Martha's loaf. Martha carries only a small crust, edges blackened. She insists even burnt bread carries fortune. She lifts it as though an offering, whispering that luck remains. Her shawl is ash-stained, her voice steady but faint. Rat-face Tom's comment. Tom snorts, tapping his stick against a beam. He mutters that rats live through fire better than men. He points to whiskers darting from rubble, declaring them victors. His stick echoes, sharp against hollow wood. Step by step sifting ruins. A family searches their home. Echo, lift charred beam, wood crumbling. Push aside stones, hands blackened. Gather nails and iron, bent but useful. Pocket spoons, metal darkened but intact. Leave behind ashes, nothing more. The house yields little, but hope clings to scraps. A mild dilemma. You find a chest half burned. Inside, cloth singed, coin melted. You could carry it heavy and awkward, or leave it, arms already sore. You step past, smoke still rises. The smell of ash. The city breathes in ruin. Charcoal acrid, sharp, wet timber heavy, soaked from buckets. Iron scorched, metallic and bitter. Dust rising with each step, choking faintly. London smells of nothing but aftermath. The myth of immediate recovery. Some tales say rebuilding began at once. The myth is of quick repair. The reality was slower. Families intense, disputes over land, rubble left for weeks. Pepys himself noted streets still blocked with ruins long after flames. The myth comforts progress. The reality lingers in ash, step by step gathering nails. Children crawl through debris, spot a glint in soot, dig with fingers, nails bent, drop into basket, clinking faint, carry to camp, pockets heavy. Repeat, step by step, scraps become treasure in ruin. Martha's hope. Martha lifts her crust to the sky, insisting fortune begins small. She tells children nails and spoons are signs of rebuilding. Her smile trembles, but she holds it steady. Others nod faintly, warmed by her certainty. Rat-face Tom's mutter. Tom shakes his head, declaring rats need no nails, no spoons. He insists vermin always find shelter first. He scowls at those who smile, tapping his stick sharply. Suspicion lingers even when fire is gone. Rules of salvage. Even ruins have codes. Echo, gather nails, metal, spoons. Leave stone too heavy to move. Share water first, scraps second. Ash belongs to all, disputes are paused. Martha trusts crumbs, Tom trusts rats. The rules hold order among rubble. A mild dilemma. You see a neighbor's spoon glinting in ash. You could keep it, unclaimed, or hand it back. Honesty over hunger. You return it, the neighbor nodding faintly. The quiet streets. The fire is gone, but silence feels heavier. Windows gape empty. Walls lean, charred. Dust drifts with each step. The city feels wider now, but hollow. The myth of forgotten ashes. Later, many described only the rebuilding, not the ruins. The myth is of swift memory erased. The reality is slower. Children played in cinders, neighbors camped beside rubble. Historians remind us that ash lingered longer than songs claimed. The myth comforts pride. The reality coughs in soot. Evening in the ruins. As day fades, families leave rubble behind. Carts roll slowly, carrying nails, spoons, bent iron. Smoke still rises from beams, faint glow beneath. Martha hums, crumbs in her hand. Tom mutters, stick tapping, rats scurrying nearby. The city exhales, not in flame but in dust. The soft cadence, the beams crack, the spoons clink, the ash drifts. And you, walking slowly, feel London rest in ruins. The smoke lingers, the silence spreads, and you drift slowly into rest, rebuilding and remembering. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to live in a city after it has burned? Not in the smoke, not in the flight, But in the long days when ashes cool and builders return, the Great Fire of London did not end with ruins. It continued in mortar, bricks and memories. Before you begin, pause, breathe gently, exhale slowly. If you are resting, let your arms sink, as though holding nothing heavier than dust. This final chapter will move as slowly as mortar setting between stones. And if your eyes close before the rebuilding begins, the walls will still rise without you. The first bricks. You walk through streets once blackened, now filled with scaffolds. Masons lift bricks, mortar dripping. The smell of wet lime mixes with soot. Hammers tap rhythmically, a steadier sound than crackling fire. Children gather nails, baskets clink. Neighbors barter over timber, stone and wages. The city hums again, though quieter than before. The myth of swift recovery. Later histories claim London rose quickly, stronger than ever. The myth is of instant triumph. The reality is slower. Years of tense disputes, shortages. Records show many families still housed in sheds months later. The myth comforts pride. The reality drags its feet through dust. Martha's hope. Martha kneels by a new foundation, placing a loaf upon a brick. She whispers fortune into mortar, blessing the wall. She insists bread is luck, that houses built beside it will stand firm. Neighbors smile faintly, comforted by her ritual. Rat-faced Tom's warning. Tom scowls at bricks, tapping one with his stick. He mutters that rats chew even through stone, finding cracks where none should be. He insists vermin always adapt. His suspicion lingers, even in fresh mortar. Step by step, laying a wall. You watch masons work, spread mortar thick, lime biting at skin, place brick firm, edges sharp, tap lightly with trowel, sound crisp, wipe excess, mortar dripping. Continue row by row, wall rising steady. The rhythm feels calmer than any bucket chain. A mild dilemma. You find a brick left aside. You could keep it, for a hearth of your own, or return it, letting the wall rise faster. You return it, telling yourself fortune lies in sharing. The smell of rebuilding. The air changes, soot still lingers, faint but fading. Mortar sharp, lime acrid, fresh cut timber sweet, resin thick, bread baking again. Martha's oven smoking faintly. The city begins to smell less of ruin, more of labor. The myth of perfect order. New rules demanded wide streets, brick houses, tiled roofs. The myth is of perfect compliance. The reality is mixed. Many rebuilt quickly, cheaply, still crowding alleys. Historians note laws stricter on paper than in practice. The myth comforts. The reality shifts in mortar, step by step. A new market. Stalls return slowly. Set plank on barrels. Table rough. Lay out apples. Their scent tart. Place pewter mugs. Dented but clean. Call neighbors softly. Trade beginning. End day counting coins. Worn but steady. The market breathes. Faint but alive. Martha's oven. Martha lights her new oven. Bricks glowing faint. She pulls loaves golden. Crust sharp. She insists fortune never left, only smoldered. She hums as she shares, voice lighter than before. Rat-faced Tom's shadow. Tom mutters at the oven's corner, swearing whiskers dart already. He insists rats survived better than walls. He taps his stick on brick, rhythm steady, suspicion endless. Rules of rebuilding. London makes new codes, recited by neighbors. Houses of brick, no timber fronts. Streets widened, carts allowed to pass. Roofs tiled, not thatched. Water kept ready, buckets always near. Bread baked, rats watch. The rules promise order, though practice wavers. A mild dilemma. You are offered work hauling bricks or tending market. You could choose coin quicker, or food surer. You pick market. Apples tart but steady. The myth of forgetting. Some believe London forgot quickly, pride replacing memory. The myth is of ash erased. The reality is quieter. Songs, journals, sermons, all return to fire's shadow. Pepys himself wrote of dreams, still filled with flame. The myth comforts pride. The reality lingers in thought. Evening over new walls. The sun sets on scaffolds and fresh mortar. Shadows stretch, lamps flicker. Children play among bricks. Laughter faint. Martha hums, handing bread. Tom mutters, tapping his stick. The city exhales, no longer smoke but dust. The soft cadence. The trowel taps. The mortar sets. The oven warms. And you, lying back, feel London rise again. The dust falls. The walls climb. And you drift slowly into rest.